Thank you. With the blessings and permission from Most Venerable Diga Madule Vimalananda Nayak Thero and Residential Mahasangha of the Vihara,
we would like to begin by paying our respects to the traditional owners on whose lands we are gathered here today, and would like to pay respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Good evening, everyone, and welcome, and a warm welcome to our Dhamma discussion this afternoon. On behalf of the Sakya Youth Group, my name is Diman, and I'm one of the Dhamma research coordinators here.
Thank you, Diman. I'm Sudesh, and I'm also a Dhamma research coordinator. This afternoon, we're incredibly honored to have a distinguished guest speaker joining us, Venerable Watagoda Maggavihārī Thera, who will also be referred to as Bhante.
Venerable Thera is a highly respected bhikkhu, scholar, and teacher within Theravada Buddhism. He holds the esteemed position of Vice President at the International Institute of Theravada and has earned both a bachelor's and master's degree in Buddha Dhamma from renowned International Theravada Buddhist Missionary University in Yangon, Myanmar.
Beyond his impressive academic achievements, Venerable Thero brings a wealth of experience from his monastic training under the Thai forest tradition. He is also a highly talented Abhidhamma teacher who's gained popularity among both monastics and lay people, both locally and internationally, due to his fundamentals of Theravada doctrine course.
We are incredibly grateful that Bhante has generously offered his time to be with us this evening. We've prepared some insightful questions to get that discussion started, and many of you have submitted fantastic questions through our Google Forms. We'll also have a dedicated live Q&A session at the end, so feel free to jot down any additional thoughts or questions you might have throughout the session.
So without further ado, we would like to pass it on to Bhante to begin the session.
We shall start the session by reciting Namo Tassa 3 times. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. සංඝරත්නයේ අවසරයි වේදිකාමුඩුල්ලේ ලොකු ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ වරක් ප්‍රමුඛ මහා සංඝරත්නයේ අවසර ලැබේවා. So today we have gathered here to have a Dhamma discussion, and I heard a few questions have been submitted, and directly I would like to take the questions and go into the Q&A session, because according to Buddha's teachings, Kalena Dhamma Sakaccha Etam Mangalam Uttama. Having Dhamma discussions timely on proper times is a blessing, because it purifies our knowledge, understanding, and clarifies our doubts, reservations, and so in the end it's useful for our spiritual growth and also success in our spiritual and mundane and spiritual lives. So I hope that all of you will be able to gain some benefits out of the discussion. With that hope, yes, I give the forum to Sudesh and Diman to ask the questions.
Thank you, Bhante. So the first question we had was, so we know that when it comes to pujas, I think many of you who grew up in a Buddhist household are familiar with pujas, and we know of two types of pujas, something called the Amisa puja and the prati puja. The Amisa puja, as young individuals, our exposure in Buddhism has revolved around this Amisa puja. So mostly pujas, chanting, and the rituals, without sort of fully grasping the pratipatti. So Bhante, could you describe in essence what is Buddhism all about? Can you describe the Buddha's teachings in a nutshell?
With reference to Amisa and Patipatti Puja, is it?
Correct. So most youth, I think many of you here would agree that when going to the temple, it's mostly, going to the Bodhi tree, and these things are very meritorious. We're not sort of casting them aside. These hold a special place in the teachings, but usually most youth only see the the cultural and these sort of ritualistic aspects of the Dhamma, and it failed to see the philosophical, the philosophy and the deep teachings, that the Buddha has taught.
Yeah, thank you for your question. Actually, it's very difficult to explain this in a nutshell, like, to be true. Yes, Buddhism revolves mainly around rebirth, karma. Sometimes we call it reincarnation. Reincarnation doesn't mean the incarnation of a soul. It's a happening of a birth again and again due to karma. And it always plays a huge emphasis upon a non-material consciousness, which can influence the body and the world. Therefore, when you go into the deep aspects of the Dhamma, we talk about a concept called karma. Karma means an action that can give results in future. And we cannot negate this. If we ask in the question, how can you prove it? It should be another question. I don't want to bring it as a part of this question itself. So then, if I divide the teachings, if I divide the practice into two groups based on Amisa and Patipatti Puja, Patipatti Puja means practicing Sila Samadhi Panya, or virtue, concentration and wisdom, as the Buddha has explained. The practice itself is the Patipatti Puja. It's not something that you can offer. It's just following the advices given by the Buddha. For example, sometimes our parents say us, if you really want to respect me, just follow my advice. You may, if the real respect that you can show me is to keep on my legacy, continue what I have done, the good things that I have done. It gives a certain appreciation, and it shows that I have appreciated and I accepted your philosophy or your viewpoint and way of life. And it shows a deeper respect than a physical gesture or giving something. Amisa Puja means offering something material or giving a service. We pay respect to them if you offer something, maybe a flower or maybe something like in order to honor the person. But the deepest honor comes by following the ethics that the person has recommended. It shows that I have accepted his philosophy or the view of the life. So therefore, Buddha always recommended, he said, if someone follows the practice, that is a gesture of deeper respect than offering certain things to me. So that's why in the end of the Parinibbana Sutra, he said, before death, one who respects me, one who follows my advice, shows the deepest respect to me more than offering certain material things. But did he completely negate the offering of Amisa Puja? No. He himself has recommended it because this is related to the phenomenon of karma. You offer something that is a support given to the other party. The other party may benefit or may not benefit out of it. Doesn't matter. So if you offer something, if you pay respect, if you show the respect to the other person, in the realm of karma, then you have to go into the realm of karma and explain what it is. So within the realm of karma, showing the respect or offering something to someone generates a wholesome positive energy. And this is very supportive in your sansaric journey. Without being born in a good realm, like being a human or a deity or a Brahma, one will never be able to achieve higher spiritual status or achieve the greatest bliss in life. So therefore, according to Buddhism, one is supposed to do Amisa Puja. Amisa Puja, when you come to a temple and if you pay respect to the Buddha statues, or if you pay respect to the Sangha or Bodhi tree, it's a gesture of respect. You are not offering anything, material thing to the person, but it's a gesture of it shows that I respect you, I honor you, and keep you in a higher, I esteem the person in a higher esteem. So therefore, this generates a higher karma. So in the negative aspect, if someone is highly conceited and he looks down upon others with conceit, that generates a negative aspect. So we have to go into the realm of karma deeply in order to show why every Amisa puja is valid according to the Buddhist doctrine. And for that, you have to go into the fundamentals and show. So therefore, in a nutshell, I can say almost every ritual that we are following in traditional Buddhist temples can be justified in terms of the deeper doctrinal aspects, and Buddha has recommended that. It's not the time to explain each and everything without a very basic, solid, fundamental foundation. But practicing itself is the patipatti puja. Patipatti in Pali, in Sinhalese we call pratipatti. The Pali word is patipatti. Practicing itself is the patipatti puja. It is not something you can offer. This shows a deeper respect towards the teacher, because it indicates that I have accepted your teachings and I obey it and I follow it.
Thank you very much, Bhante. I think we'll move on to the question. I think that was a very clear and it touched base with the question that we had. Thank you.
Alright, so I'll ask the next question. Venerable Bhante, the Buddha often emphasized that the teachings are verifiable here and now, not relying on blind beliefs, but on personal experience and observation. How can young people approach the Dhamma in a way that allows them to personally verify these truths for themselves? And what role does direct experience play in understanding the Buddha's teachings?
Bhante, before I just you give the answer, I just would like to highlight we decided to focus on this question because most of us, we think religion as something that is purely approached through blind beliefs. Like, you have to take that leap of faith to accept something, and there is no, throw away your logic and reasoning. So this is why we asked this question. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. So if I rephrase the question, in order to follow Buddhism with proof, and in order to follow it deeply, it needs to make sense, so we can grasp it, right? So we are bordering a philosophical view called evidentialism. The view is it's a fault to accept a belief without proof or evidence, right? So even we are not accustomed to this philosophical view, seems like sometimes our mind needs some proof to believe on something, right? Maybe that may be the underlying philosophy beneath this question. Okay? Where's the evidence to prove something? And this question, if you ask from a philosopher, you are knocking at the door of skepticism. Skepticism. So I'm going to open a door of skepticism that you will have no clue how to answer. Go, get ready to the journey, okay? Listen carefully. So there are three sources of knowledge, basic three sources of knowledge. Subjectively three sources. Without these three sources, you cannot gain knowledge. One is sense experiences. Agree? Yes. Another is testimony. Testimony means the information given to us by others. How many of you have witnessed World War II? I think none, right? None among the elders even. For sure not the World War I. But we do say, right? Hitler was responsible. Germany was responsible for both the world wars. We do say. We believe on a testimony. Something that others say. A third source of knowledge would be your own memory. You have experienced something from your senses and you are able to recall it. The question here is, can you trust these three sources? Can you ever trust these three sources, and can you prove them they are true? You would say, sure, I can prove them. They are self-evident. That will be your answer. In order to prove something, you cannot prove something based on itself. If I say I'm a good person, is it a proof for my goodness? No. There has to be some independent proof or fact that elaborates my goodness. That's called untainted facts. This is the philosophical term we use. Untainted facts. Independent, untainted facts. Facts independent of the subject matter that we are scrutinizing. Okay, I hope you can follow what I mean. Then you can ask another question. What about a videotape, CCTV camera? Don't they give us some information? Yes, they do. Fossils, they do give information. Tapes give you. But in order to understand them, you have to use the senses, right? Immediately after seeing them, you have to recall them with memory, right? And you have to bring the testimony and explanations from others. So therefore, videotapes, testimony are nothing other than they are also they are under these three. So these are the main three sources. You believe on others' testimony, you rely on your memory, and you rely on your sense objects. Someone asks, how do we prove the religion? The question would be, how do you prove these three first of all? These are the very basic sources of knowledge. The question is memory ever reliable? You may say it's reliable sometimes, not always. Sometimes we have false memory. It's not the question. Is it ever reliable? Can you prove your memory is correct? Take this example. I know you have a different example. Before coming into that, I'll take a very simple example and show you the problem here. Just want to enlighten you, give an insight on this. Think about a past experience. You parked your car in a certain place. You went to the office or to the school or to the market, and you remembered I parked it there. You came back, you went into the car, and it was there. And your past memory was reliable because you could see it is in the same place. And you drove it. Right? So it has to be reliable. And you say this to me based on another memory, right? So you are proving your memory based on memory. Is it valid? No. Okay. Cannot be. Okay, another example. I know it's a difficult journey. Please give attention to me, okay? You have to think very much. If you have a question, please raise your hand immediately. I'll give you the opportunity. I would like this to be a discussion. If you have a question, you please raise your hand. Any of you? Okay. Yes. I'll come to that.
Isn't that indicative of a functioning, workable memory?
I'll come to that.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll come to that. Because I told you, I'm giving a very simple example. You will have more count example. Now we are coming to the deep aspects. I'll give you another two examples. Little bit, be patient a bit, okay? Another example. When I was a child, my teacher used to tell me, "Oh son, you have a very good memory." I remember that. It's a testimony. It's a testimony, right? Then, even now, people used to say, "Yes, you have a good memory." Okay, forget about my memory about what teacher said. So what the teacher said, it's a testimony, and it's been proven by another testimony of another person. They also said, many people say, you have a good memory, Bhante. Okay. So I remember that. So it seems like my memory about the teacher seems to be correct. Because I remember my teacher saying the same testimony, and another person giving this, it's confirming it. Okay. Now we have to prove the testimony. We are proving memory based on testimony. Right? We are proving the memory based on testimony. So how do we prove testimony? How do we prove testimony? So for example, testimony is someone says something to me. This is this. Okay. For example, he says, there is something in the room, for instance. Okay. Take it like this, a past experience. Don't bring the present, okay? There was something in the room. I went there and I saw it. Yes, what he said was correct. Remember? He said, there is something in the room. I went there, I saw it. So I would say, yes, the testimony is sometimes true. I say this based on my memory, right? So I prove testimony again based on memory. Where did I start? I started to prove memory based on testimony, and I prove testimony based on memory. Okay, again, still the circular. Did you get the point? Because in the first place, that's why you have to be very careful when I'm saying this. My teacher said I have a good memory. So I'm going to prove my memory, right? I remember that. Even now people are saying, seems like my memory is accurate, because even now people are saying the same thing. So my memory should be accurate. But I'm going to prove my memory based on testimony. Now I have to prove the testimony. How do I prove the testimony, for example? The example I give you, you can have many other examples. I'll come to that, okay? As you said, James, right? Right. So the example I gave you, I remember someone telling there's a key in my room. When I went there, I saw it. So I can prove my testimony, but that's based on my memory, right? So I'm proving my testimony based on memory. I wanted to prove my memory and I took testimony, and in order to prove testimony, I take memory. Come on, it's still circular. Now what James said, what he was telling, senses. Very basically on senses. I hear you. I remember, for example, the example you took may be a little bit complicated for everyone to understand. I'll take a very simple example, but still matching with this. Take a present example. Someone, before I came here, the organizer said to me, there will be a good microphone. Their testimony. When I came, yes, I can see through my senses. Okay, through my senses. Okay, the skeptic would ask, prove your senses, prove that your senses are true. How do you prove the senses are true? Isn't it self-evident? No, this is not the answer. You are asking proof. You ask proof for the religion. I'm asking, give a proof for senses. What are the best proof for senses? A good example. I saw something with my senses far away like a coin. I trusted. I went and saw, oh, it's a coin. It's a coin. I saw something here, and you also saw something here, and you confirm it. And you say, it's a testimony for me. If I confirm my senses through others, I confirm it through testimony again. If I confirm what I saw can be seen again, I'm confirming my senses through senses again. Did you get this point? I saw it. I again come and see it. It's there. You're proving your sense experience to sense experience. So in order to prove your memory, either you go into testimony or to senses. In order to prove testimony, you go into memory or senses. In order to prove senses, you go into memory or testimony or senses. Come on. That's a good question. This is a question that has been haunting the human civilization for millenniums. No one has ever come with the answer for this. Don't worry about that. Okay. So where are we heading? You cannot have evidence for everything. What is evidence? I appreciate your answer. That's all we got. What are you talking about? You're talking nonsense. This is not nonsense. If you ask for evidence for everything, that is nonsense for me. You cannot prove even your senses are true. Even your memory is true. Even every testimony is true. Ask for untainted, independent evidence to prove something. Forget about a religion. Forget about science. There's no way in the world you can prove the senses are true. There's no way in the world you can prove the testimony is true. No way in the world you can prove the memory is true. So, first of all, keep that in mind. Then, what is the answer? As James said, one philosopher recently have developed an idea called truth preserving theory. It's a very complicated theory. Anyway, the nutshell would be, if you follow this theory, you have to reject everything. And you cannot believe anything. And you go nowhere. In order to reject everything, there has to be something. Because you can doubt. But you cannot surely say it's wrong. So there's no clear proof to reject or no clear proof to completely doubt everything, because it seems like the things are to the otherwise. So some philosophers think, as you said, we have to take them as they are. Some senses have to be true. Some memory has to be true. Some testimony has to be true. Not always. Some sources of knowledge has to be true. How do we come into this conclusion without proof? So when you ask the question from a religious person, where's the proof? Always keep this in mind. You are calling your mother, mother without any proof. There's no way in the world you can prove it. Bertrand Russell asked a very nice question once. If someone brings a hypothetical argument, try your best to prove this is wrong. Okay, this is the argument. The entire world sprung into the existence 5 minutes ago, and that in that existence, it gave you a false memory that you were born 30-40 years ago. The entire universe came into the existence with all the fossil records, deceiving you that the world existed for 4 billion years. If it came into the existence with such a deceiving nature 5 minutes ago, and you are inherited with such a false memory, how can you prove that theory is wrong? How can you prove the world existed before that? No way you can do that. It's a bizarre argument, I know that. That's why he's saying the world came into the existence. If you date a carbon, it will indicate millions of years, and it came into the existence 5 minutes ago. That's how it came into the existence. I know it's difficult for you to grab this idea. The world came into existence with a deceiving nature that it existed for 5 million years. Another one brings another argument. If this is entirely a dream, can you prove that it is not a dream? In order to prove a dream, you have to wake up from the dream, right? If this is a long dream that you are still asleep, dreaming, okay. These are called radical skepticism. First I brought source skepticism. What I just want to say is, I know this will take you nowhere. You may ask the question, what do you want to say? What I want to say is, even the very basic things in the world cannot be proven with independent facts. So now I will come to the question. So how do you know, how do you prove a religion something to believe? For that, first you have to understand, for certain things, you don't have there are something called subjective experiences. I'll just talk about Buddhism. Buddhism speaks, advocates within a realm which you can understand only through subjective experience. What is the subjective experience? That is through introspecting. And how to prove it? Yes, the topic will go longer. I'm doing injustice to the other questions if I keep on speaking on this, right? I know you will be interested. If you are interested, if another question comes, I will go forward. So the point is, my answer would be, you will not have 100% accurate proof. Come to your question, right? So there have to be, it's a subjective thing that you prove for yourself. Certain things can be proven objectively, I understand. But even you go deeper, a skeptic can still screw you and say, no. Still there's uncertainty. That will be always there. So therefore, always understand, you will not get proof, 100% accurate proof for everything. Yes. So I think it's better to use the mic. If someone is there to send the mic, would be his, yeah. Okay.
Talking about the question, if you answer this way, like if you surrender yourself.
Surrender yourself.
Yes.
Surrender. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And follow the path. Then of course you're going to experience something that is like what Buddha wanted us to experience. So isn't that going to be a proof at the end if you surrender yourself first?
Yeah, that will be a subjective experience. That will be a subjective experience that is proven to yourself only. Right? To yourself only. When they ask the proof, I know how this question comes. This question comes from a scientific background. Are you asking questions in a beaker? You can put something and show the color. This is the color of karma. This is the color of rebirth. Okay, and I can see this, that being died here and was born here. That kind of proof, empirical experiment, no. So the proof that they were asking were something objectively. That's what I said. No, these things cannot be proven like, because even you are proving it objectively, still a skeptic could ask, how could you trust your senses? They can still ask this question, right? So therefore, what I just wanted to emphasize is, searching for proof is not the best way to evaluate the religion. You have to have the philosophical argument in order to prove or disprove something. This needs a lot of mental effort. Just to follow, no need, just follow it. But if someone is asking the question, how do you prove it? I assume and I expect the person to have the mental stamina. If he asking from me, I accept the person to have the mental stamina to have the philosophical debate with me. Right? That's very vital. Because you are asking a very deep question. How do you prove? How do we come with proof? How can I prove? When there's no way to prove your memory, testimony, or even sense experiences 100%. How can I prove such a thing? So my message is, Buddhism talks about a non-material conscious thing that is beyond the scientific equipment. And that can only be known through subjective experience. Is there any possibility, or next question comes, okay, now Bhante says, is there any possible clue that we can believe in such thing called karma or Buddhism or reincarnation? Can you give us a clue? A scientific clue? No way, forget about it. Any philosophical clue at least? Okay, take this. I'm challenging now. Given the physical laws, according to modern physics, I think most of you have done physics at least to some degree, right? Even when you are doing medicine, you have to do some physics, right? In basic schools, right? Everything is made out of particles, right? What are the subatomic particles? Yes. Yes, electrons are there, protons are there, neutrons are there. Yeah, these are the subatomic particles. There's nothing other than that. They have divided neutron and proton. They have found quarks. And they are given the standard model. What is the standard model? The entire universe is made out of 17 particles and one field. I don't know whether you are aware of that. 6 quarks, top, bottom, up, down, charge, strange, charm, something like that. 6 leptons, electron, muon, tau, and 6 neutrinos, counterparts of the electron, muon, and tau. They are neutrinos, electrically neutral charged ones. 6, 6, 12. Then we have 4 bosons. Those were called mesons. 4 bosons, which can carry the forces, 4 force-carrying particles. Photon, we have gluon, Z and W boson. You can go and check in internet if you want. If you don't trust me, if you don't trust my testimony, you can trust the testimony of Google, right? At least. Then there's a recently found particle in 2012, Higgs boson. And there's one field called the Higgs field. And this constitutes 5% of the entire universe. This also includes the antimatter. Not to talk about that. Then the remaining 20%, 25% has to be considered with a certain matter. The scientists are not aware of it. So the word they use is dark matter. Dark. We don't know about that. 25%. And the exponential growth in the universe indicates that there has to be a certain energy against the gravity, and they call it dark energy, 70%. Okay. There are forces, 4 forces: gravity, electromagnetism, strong force, weak force. This is the standard model. That's it. Given the physical laws, relativity, everything, beyond the atomic level, above the atomic level, if you apply all the laws with these particles, the entire universe is determined. Have you ever thought about that? The entire cause of the universe is determined if there's only matter. At the level of quantum physics, quantum mechanics, things are random. Go beyond the atomic level, things fall under general relativity and special relativity. Things can be determined, predicted, 100% predicted. If there's only matter, this speech has been determined from the day of the Big Bang. That's how the laws happen, physical laws. If you have any glimpse of hope of changing the future, we know we are heading towards global warming, right? We want to change it. We think Aborigines doesn't have enough rights. We want to change it. Social structure, environmental structure, physical structure, whatever you want to change, if it is heading towards some direction, if you think you want to change the course of the future, according to your desire, if you have any hope, you have to have an immaterial element which violates physical laws and which can influence the matter. That non-material thing should be able to take decisions, and it should be able to influence the matter based on its decisions and change the course of the future. Otherwise, there's no free will, there's no hope of changing. This is the philosophical hope or possibility I show to you all about Buddhism. What is the pivotal point here? There has to be an immaterial thing. If it is immaterial, physics, science is always material or physical. Energy is physical. Matter is physical. I'm talking about an immaterial thing, which is beyond the scope of science. If you think in determinism, okay, you can believe in physicalism. Be with it. Don't worry. Happy destiny. But if you think the future can be changed, if you think there is hope of change, there's no other way than a non-material element influencing the physical. And this non-material element is beyond the scientific investigation. It breaks all the physical laws. It has to break all the physical laws. This has not been proven, but that's the only possibility. That's why many scientists don't believe in a consciousness. But they know from in bottom of their heart, all of them knows. The moment you embrace physicalism, you embrace determinism. Everyone who knows physicalism knows this. But they keep silenced on this. So if you have any hope of future, possible future, There has to be a non-material thing. So the point is, this non-material thing should be able to influence the matter. Consciousness, for example, I want to change the course of the future, the global warming. I have a desire, ambitious person. My consciousness influences my body, and my body, through my consciousness, I influence others, their consciousnesses, actions. It affects the material world, change the course of the world. It was heading this side, we change it this side. Possible. But what is the pivotal thing? Non-material could influence the material. What is karma? I'll come to you. Non-material influencing material. Consciousness, non-material influence the material. If you are thinking about a non-deterministic future, you have to come with a non-physical element that can influence the matter. This is the realm Buddha was talking about. This has weird stuff. It doesn't agree under the physical laws. This is the gate and opening for you all. Yes, James. How much? Right.
How much force or how much of this non-material aspect would you need to change global warming?
That depends on how much material change that one person can make.
Well, I would suspect one person can make
Yes.
probably less than that.
Yes. So you have to influence many other non-material consciousnesses and make a huge impact to the world.
So then, in that respect, aren't you using your senses? And
Yes.
so then, where is the non-material force or aspect?
Non-material force associates the matter. You cannot locate it and show this is it. It can express itself through the senses.
Okay.
It gets the information through the senses.
Okay. Yep.
It
Okay.
depends on the matter, but it's not matter.
All right. Thank you.
So I would say I'd like to add, is that covering, so you talked about non-material influencing the material. I think in science they talk about consciousness derived from the brain, derived from material. So then even consciousness, you could break down those particles and you could get to an even finer level where even consciousness, that non-material could be described in terms of material. So
Thank you, Sudesh, for your question. You opened another gate. Okay. I like this discussion. Okay.
Avasara Swaminathan.
Yes.
One question. Does
sorry.
this have to be something connected with Chitta Niyama as well? The unmaterialistic?
Yes. When it
Anything?
comes to the non-material thing, Buddha has talked about Chitta Niyama, Karma Niyama, and Dhamma Niyama. 3 niyamas are connected.
Yes.
And this can only be known through the non-material can only be known through non-material.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Yes, that's another very good question. Now I'm going to open another topic. Think sharply, okay? René Descartes. Considered the father of modern philosophy. He was a rebellion, actually, I would call. He gave the answer. Okay, he thought, whatever our parents, forefathers have taught us, if they are wrong, how can I know? Why I'm believing them? Why I'm following blindfoldly? I will believe something only that can be proven without any doubt. Without any doubt. If I can doubt anything at the slightest level, I will not accept that. Example, there are a basket of oranges, beliefs that we had, If I can doubt them at least to a very little degree, I put them into this doubting basket. So it's emptying all the beliefs. He's a radical person who didn't want to follow his parents or ancestors. He was challenging them. Okay, then he had a very simple testing. What are the things that I can trust for sure? Far away objects, small objects, with my experience. He was going through experience of senses, okay? Because science was not developed to that much in those times. 17th century. 17th or 18th century. So he thought, okay, far away objects. If something deceives me at least once, I'm not going to trust it anymore. That was the point. That's why if someone cheats you for one time, you're not going to trust him, right? He said, if any object cheats me or if any of the senses cheats me, I'm not going to trust it. Far away objects, small objects. Sometimes far away I see water, but when I go there, it's just a mirage. Small objects on the wall, I think it's an animal, but it's just a mark. They have deceived me. So far away objects, small objects, I'm not going to trust them. Okay, doubt them. What about the bigger ones, larger ones? My body, my hands, the fact that I'm wearing clothes, the fact that I'm sitting on a chair, the fact that I'm giving a speech. Can I doubt it? Yes, there is a place that it deceives me in a dream. Sometimes I fly in a dream. I have flew in a dream actually. Right? I thought I'm the Superman after watching Clark Kent flying when I was a child. Yes. Very happy that time, right? A different body, different clothes. It's just a dream. So even the bigger object, if this was his doubt, if this is a dream that I'm experiencing everything, how can I prove it's no? One can bring a good argument. You cannot prove it's wrong. You cannot prove that it's wrong. Because in order to prove the dream is a dream, you have to wake up from the dream. If this is a non-waking up, wrong dream, okay, sorry for that. Okay, all the bigger objects, larger objects, who put into the other basket. Still he said, even if this is a dream, there has to exist few objects. What are those few objects? According to him, okay, don't ask questions from me about this, okay? My final aim is something else. Final aim is just few steps ahead. So he thought, even if in a dream, 4 things have to exist. Mathematics have to exist. 1 + 1 is 2. Even if this is a dream, that's true. Some philosophers think maths is numbers are fundamental. Then he thought the extended nature of a thing is true. Extended nature means the fact that it consumes space. That idea has to be true. Even this is a dream, if this is a dream. The 3D nature. Geometry has to be true, and he thought even this is a dream, there has to be color. That's why we see color. So he thought 4 things have to be true. Then he argued again with himself. What if even these 4 objects were given to my mind by an evil demon? Like in Matrix. Have you ever watched Matrix? Right? The childs from the birth were captured and plugged into some kind of machine, and they experience a visual thing, right? So likewise, if a demon is completely putting all this geometry, mathematics and everything into the mind, could they be also illusions, these 4 ideas? Then he thought, yes, possible, maybe. Even not in a dream, because he's so advanced. He created mathematics, he created geometry and gave this idea to my mind. He said it can be. He thought, okay, you may have arguments on that, but he thought. Then he came to the idea, okay, even if there is an evil demon who gives me all these ideas, I have to accept the fact that I am thinking. Even my mind is under the influence of a demon. Even I am thinking wrongly, I'm thinking. You cannot negate the fact that you are thinking. If you try to think whether I'm thinking, that action itself negates your question. If you come into a conclusion that there's no thinking, it's self-defeating. You have thought about it, right? Thinking has to be there. So he named it as thinking thing. So anyway, some said you don't need to name it thinking thing. There is thinking. This is where I want to come in, as for your question. You cannot negate the fact there is thinking. Thinking is there. Now there are three philosophical views about thinking. One is, some thought this thinking is a functioning of the matter. And that's mind-brain identity theory. And some said, no, it's not only brain, even a computer, an advanced computer could think. AI, strong AI. Right? For the inputs, it gives outputs. You type to ChatGPT, it gives you a reply, right? And I myself at the end say thank you. It seems like it's thinking, obviously, right? Sometimes, do you have emotions? No. He said, no, I don't have emotions. It's like a human, right? ChatGPT. So some thought thinking is the functioning of matter. So they thought thinking can be reduced to matter and explained, as you said, the particle and with particles. There's a very good argument against this. Think about it. This argument is based on inputs and outputs. You give an input, it gives an output. If you give something to the brain, it gives the output. You give something to the computer, it gives the output. So we think it's thinking. That's the capacity of the brain, or that's the capacity of the computer. Now get ready for this argument. There is a Chinese room experiment. What does it mean? This is a room. Okay. In this room, it's covered. I'm here. I have no idea about Chinese. Once I tried to learn Chinese, I gave it up. Right? So I was told, you will be given certain questions from this door, and you have to answer from the other door. They will give questions from Chinese letters. I have to answer with Chinese letters. I have no idea about Chinese, but I am given with a book of codes saying that if these shapes of letters come to you, answer with these shapes. Looking at the book, looking at the question, I'm a smart guy, for example, okay. And I'm giving. I look at the shape of the letters, write them and give. Saral asked this question. Okay, you run this Chinese thought experiment room for 1 year, 5 years. Ones who are outside will surely think. Bante, who is inside, knows Chinese, right? Because I'm giving the perfect answer. I have no idea what Chinese is. I'm just following the patterns. What do you think? What happens in a computer? Do you think the computer really understands what you mean? It's just answering to the 1 zeros or digital something. Doesn't have the understanding. So you cannot just explain consciousness based on inputs and outputs. There have to be something called understanding. It has to be a qualia. Qualia means the experience that you have, the understanding you have about something. For example, with a computer, if you keep on asking the same question, it will keep on giving the same answer. But if you ask the same question 10 times from a man, you will get the punch next time, right? There's emotions here. There's understanding here. So therefore, more than 50-60% of scientists believe consciousness cannot be reduced to matter. It's a reductionist problem. Can you think electrons are thinking? Would you ever think electrons are thinking? No, seems not. Some think it's not a problem. Okay, what can I do? What can we do? They think the brain is thinking, matter is thinking. Maybe due to a certain kind of electronic mechanism, it thinks. Matter it thinks. This is the first view. They think matter, the functioning of matter is consciousness. Functionalism, mind, brain, identity, whatever theories. The next question, as Sudesh asked. Then some thought, brain is matter, consciousness is emerging. It's not that the brain thinks. Consciousness is an emerging property. What does it mean by emerging property? Since you asked this question, I have to go to the depths. I'm very sorry if some people, some couldn't understand this. This question was in that level, right? Emerging property. What does it mean by emergent property? The concept of emergence came when we cannot explain everything with the theory of the reductionist theory. What is reductionist theory? I'm able to explain this plate with this matter. I can reduce it to matter, right? Particles. I can completely explain the functions of this plate based on its ingredients. I can explain the entire cake with its ingredients. I can reduce it into particles, its components, and explain the entire function. But in some cases, people are unable to explain the second layer based on the first layer. The best example is, everything is made out of particles. No one has ever come with an explanation about how evolution could be explained based on particles. Now there are attempts called quantum biology, how to explain biology based on quantum physics. Attempts are given. But normally the accepted norm, a person who is trying that would say, Bhante, we are trying. Yes, I accept that, I appreciate that. But still, so far, no one has come with a good explanation how evolution could be explained based on particles. So when you go from biology, what is under is chemistry. What is under chemistry is physics, particles, right? So sometimes you will not be able to explain chemistry based on physics. A basic example, entirely you will not be able to explain. H2O, H and O combined, you get H2O. H is a particle, O is a particle. A combination gives you a liquidity. Because of hydrogen bonds, you will say. Liquidity is a new property. You have to accept the fact that it's a new property. You'll be able to say it's because of hydrogen bonds, but you can see it's different.
I'll just add, with H2O, it depends on the environment as well. So it's a combination of H2O and the environment. So if the temperature is cold, the H2O will be expanded.
Right.
It will be ice. Or if
Right.
it's liquid, it will be, if it's within a certain, if it's in the liquid
Right.
phase, it will be liquid.
Right.
So there's an interaction between
Right.
matter and
In the certain,
just to add.
in the normal temperature, H is a gas, O is a gas. You combine these two, they are just particles. You combine these two in the normal temperature, appreciate that, you get a new liquid. How do you explain this liquid nature? That's the question here. They call it, it's an emerging property. When it comes to an emerging property, means you are not able to explain its characteristics based on the ingredients. That's called emerging, yes. Yeah, emerging means the place where you cannot explain the second layer with the first layer. If there's an explanatory gap, some scientists suggested the fact these new characteristics that cannot be explained with the ingredients have emerged. There will be no explanation for that. Yes, it's a fancy way of saying without knowing. Yes, you are correct.
Sorry, just to go off that. So are you proposing that it emerges independently for each circumstance, or is there a particular source of emergence we can?
Yeah, when the sources, is in certain conditions come, we get an outcome. And this outcome cannot be fully explained based on the sources. So we see an extra characteristic here. They say, I'm not saying, they say this characteristic has emerged from this. You cannot explain it. That's the point. Evolution for now is an emerging property. Actually. So then I'm coming to your question. Those are called weak emergence. Then some said, when the brain is functioning, sometimes consciousness is emerging. It's a strong emergence, they say. Why it's strong emergence? Liquidity and H2O, you can show some kind of explanation. You can get closer to that, not fully closer to that. But consciousness and matter, come on, this is like too far. It's too far. So they named this in a fancy way, strong emergence. Why is that? Without the brain, you cannot have consciousness. That's the point. So they consider brain is a must. Consciousness has to emerge from the brain because consciousness is there. And they thought, no, it's too much to attribute that the electrons are thinking. Come on, you cannot tell them they are thinking. Consciousness has to be a different element. And it is emerging from this. What is the problem still? If it is emerging, still you are in the deterministic world. Functioning is happening in the brain, the material stuff. Brain is a material thing. Everything is always under causality. It's a closed system. Even it's an open system. Taken the entire universe, all the forces, still it's under the force of physical laws. So what happens? You can predict what is going to happen. So consciousness which is emerging is just an outcome of the matter. Consciousness cannot influence matter here. Consciousness is coming out of matter, arising with matter, emerging with matter. Some scientists think, no. Still the gap is too much. So some are of the opinion consciousness has to be a separate element because it's too much to explain. It is emerging from the brain. What is the problem when you have a different conscious element? How on earth a non-material thing could influence the matter? This question was asked by the Princess of Bohemia. Please give the mic to her. Princess of Bohemia from René Descartes. How could an immaterial thing could influence the matter and cause a change? Even I don't have any answer. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. According to those, I'm not a person who believes in evoluting consciousness, because on my view, for example, consciousness cannot emerge from matter. Consciousness has to have its independent existence. It didn't exist in the space. It depends on the matter, but it has its own existence depending on the matter. If you say the child had a certain need at a certain time, I would say that's consciousness was there. He was conscious before that, right? He had a certain desire. Yeah, he may have advanced thoughts. Consciousness, the ideas can evolve within one life. But this is talking about the consciousness itself evolving or arising. contents of consciousness can change. If you're talking the consciousness, this act itself emerged from the matter, for me it's too much. Right? So as you said, if the scientists say it's emerging, it's not something that everyone agrees upon. Please keep that in mind. There are three views. Some things, it's the matter what is thinking. Some things, consciousness is an emerging property. Some things, consciousness is a separate property depending on the matter, but it's a separate property. Buddhism is on that view. It's a separate property because this qualia, the experience, the emotions, what we think, the subjective experience cannot be attributed, reduced into the functioning of matter. It's something beyond matter according to them. If you want further, then this is going to go till the end. I am afraid about that. Yeah. Stone and a... Yes. It chooses its matter. It's very choicy. It's very picky. Not every matter can support a consciousness. Yeah, that's why I say consciousness cannot depend on any matter. It depends on a particular amount of matter. Now, according to Buddhism, the karma plays a role. Now it's intertwined. There has to be an influence of karma for the consciousness to depend upon. Pebbles are not conscious things, right? Did you get my idea? Consciousness depends on a certain particular type of matter, not every matter. Right? Yes. Yes. No. Okay. Where are you heading? Are you sure that other religions have a beginning? If you are talking about the beginning, you have to talk about the beginning of the God. There's no beginning in any religion. Right?
I'd say it's the views. So they have views about beginning or ideas about beginning, but maybe I think
there's no ultimate beginning. That's what I'm saying. They may say the entire world began at a certain point, but that's not the ultimate beginning, right? Ultimate beginning should be the day that God began, right? According to Abrahamic religions, there's no beginning for the God. Okay, God has been there forever. Don't ask this question. God created with time and space. I'm not insulting. That's the answer, right? I would say you cannot create time. Come on. Okay, look at this example. God came, stood up, sat, and created the world. That's time. He did something before creating. That's time. Nothing to create in time. Big Bang Theory. Everything began with a singularity. There was nothing, no space, no time. Which caused the Big Bang? No one knows. But it was triggered, right? It was triggered. Something has happened. So triggering, there's causality has to be there. You cannot say Big Bang came out of nothing or for no reason. Then Big Bang could have happened at any time. Why do it remain in that? No. So still they would say the time didn't exist. It's just a theory. The nowness have to have existed. How long the singularity remained. I'm also asking the same question from them.
Bhante, I think we'll just move on because I know this is it goes into it's a very vast, infinite, almost infinitely appearing realm.
Right,
so
give me 1 minute.
Yes.
I'll finish it.
Yeah.
Right. So
With
then,
the-
according to Buddhism, there is called the doctrine of necessity. There was no beginning. The universe had been existing forever. Consciousness, according to Buddhism, is not something that can spring into existence out of nothing or out of matter. So it has been there forever. This is the point. Anamataggoyam bhikkhave sansaro pubbha kotina panyayati. There's no beginning for the consciousness. A yogi who is meditating, if there's no beginning to something, you cannot know it with direct experience. Have you ever thought about that? Only way to understand it, knowing that it is impossible to have a beginning. So, knowing the nature of the consciousness, one come into conclusion for every consciousness, there had to be a previous consciousness. The consciousness is rising and falling, is influenced by the previous consciousness. And consciousness cannot be produced by the matter itself, or it cannot spring into existence by itself, by out of nothing. So the only possibility you have is there have been a time, infinitely long time. I know this is very weird, but you go into all the three main views of existence, cosmology, divine creation, you still have the big problem of beginning. By accident, you still have the beginning problem. Doctrine of necessity, still have the beginning problem. Buddhism says there has been no beginning. End would be nirvana. End is not nirvana. Nirvana is a different state. It's been covered. I'll give you just simile. There has been a sound rising and falling of a machine. And you stop the machine. When you stop the machine, do you stop the last sound or you stop the arising of new sounds? You stop the arising of new sounds, right? That's what you do, because every sound passes away. So you get the silence. Now tell me, did the silence begin when you switch off the machine, or the silence was already there and it was covered by sound? What would be your answer? Oh, that's Nibbana. Nirvana is existing always, and it's been covered. We are not attaining because of this consciousness and all this suffering. So what in Buddhism? You prevent the next birth, and that's Nirvana. Yes, go ahead.
So Bhante, we talked about, this being that comes up with these philosophies, this being that comes up with these ideas, these notions, and we come with all these theories of the world. The ultimate fundamental matter and truth remains that we suffer.
Yes.
We can come up with these theories about, how we came, but just like the Buddha gave the analogy, we are still shot with the arrow of suffering.
Right.
And we wonder where this arrow, where did this arrow come from, or where did I come from? But we don't understand the self, or not the self, but we don't understand the being or the process that is asking these questions. And maybe this process is a defiled process. This mind that we use to conjure all these theories, and ultimately, this being, we undergo suffering. So even those scientists and philosophers, they grew old, they died, and had to face suffering. So in light of that, Bhante, I would like to segue into a question that was asked by a youth, and it is the very real experience, the very tangible experience of grief. So the question that we got from a youth was, can you discuss how to handle losing a loved one and handling grief? I know it's a hazard pull. It's like Earth and Earth. We've gone into the galaxies, and we've gone all the way around, and now we return to the very fundamental problem of suffering and dealing with grief in our day-to-day practical experience, Bhante, with your permission.
Yes, so it matters how you look into the world. Yeah, one of the most difficult things in our life is how to deal when a loved one dies, or when we separation from the loved ones. There can be two separations. One is one separates from us, departs from us, being far away from us. The ultimate separation with death, right, is with the death. So my advice to that is, the best remedy will be given with time, will be given by time, over time. Time heals many things, right? If you are suffering from a separation of a beloved one because of a death or a breakup or whatever, the best would be to give yourself more time. And another very important aspect is to consider you are the most important person in your life. Once, Bodhisattva is the one who, before his enlightenment, his son died. His daughter was there. Daughter-in-law was there. Mother was there, okay. And they were burning. They were burning the body on the pyre. And the son was born as a deity. He came and questioned, why are you not crying? Right? Why are you not crying? None of them were crying. Then he asked the question from the Bodhi, why are you not crying? Because he came in a disguise of another human. He asked, why are you not crying? It is your son. Maybe he's a very stubborn son. No, he's a very good son, very obedient son. But then why are you not crying? What matters? Even if I cry, he cannot hear anything. Even if I hit the body with a spear, he will not feel anything. So he's not going to listen with what I'm doing, what I utter. Okay. Then he came to the sister. This is the question I want to say. This is the answer. That is very important. Who is this? This is my brother. Then why not crying? Maybe he is a very fierce brother who hit you, punished you all the time. No, he's a very kind brother. Then why are you not crying? Don't you love your brother? Yes, I love him so much. He's a very nice brother. Then why are you not crying? If I cry, if I don't eat, I will be ugly. And my parents will find it difficult to arrange a marriage for me. This is not selfishness. The one who died. One who separated went away. If you want to win her back, win him back, okay, try. Sometimes we do recommend, give it another try. But sometimes things cannot be fixed again. Certain things are broken for the betterment. Some things are broken forever. If we sorrow, if we grieve, if we feel sad, if we don't eat, if we don't focus on our success, it means we are tormenting ourselves. So always in a separation from the beloved ones, seems like the entire world is lost. No. According to Buddhism, you are the most important person in your life. So always focus on yourself. You will grieve. You will feel sorrow. You can spread the merits. You can share the merits with him. You can do respectful things to the person. But always take care of you. Because if he or she really loves you, he or she will truly like if you flourish. So therefore, the best thing that you can do is to make yourself a better person. Even if you want to take revenge from the one who broke up with you, what would be the best revenge? To suicide? No. To be a good person. And then let him or her feel, whom did I leave? Oh, it's better I go back. That's the best revenge that you can give, right? So even if you want to don't do that, to take revenge, okay? Otherwise, I will never encourage that. The best revenge would be to be a better person. So even if someone dies, be the better person. So always focus on and give time to yourself. Yes, that would be my answer.
Thank you very much for that answer. We'll move on to the next question that we had. Yep. So the question was, Venerable Bhante, some may view Buddhism, like other religions, as simply advocating for being good for the sake of being good. And not just other religions, but atheist society. In an atheist society, regardless of religious affiliation, people uphold good moral values through law and order. Are they essentially practicing the same principles as good Buddhists? In this context, is there a fundamental difference between Buddhism and other religions or atheists? Or do they ultimately lead to the same end? How does Buddhism differ? This question comes from the notion that most people say all religions are the same. It's all just about making society, controlling society, making sure that everyone is good. No one's, killing each other, and people are living a civilized and orderly way, and so that society can flourish. So they look at religion as a tool for enabling society to function effectively, and purely that's the end. So that's the end of all religions, and being whatever beliefs, they hold that as the end to be good. Ultimately.
Yes, the answer is no. Answer is no. You can bring ethics to make a better society, for the society to function properly. Obviously, that can be the end goal of certain ethical orders. Buddhism makes us to be ethical or virtuous or have a morality, because Buddhism advocates about a moral conduct that is ultimate. That's the difference here. If you ask someone, what is the basic of ethics? Is it just to support the culture? Is it just to support the society, or for the smooth functioning of the society? So those cultures have changed, evolved time to time, right? So there was a time that many people in certain countries believed slavery is good. Smooth functioning. So the ethics of that country would be ones who are born with a certain skin color should be a slave, and others would be the masters. Right? So that was the ethics, and that was functioning properly, but some people were struggling a bit. Buddhism advocates an ultimate ethical code, good and bad. Where does it exist? It exists nowhere. You cannot show where it exists. You cannot have proof for that. Then the question comes, what is ethics? Is it relative to everyone? My ethics is mine, your ethics is yours. And this leads to relativism. There's no real truth. Truth is relative to everyone. Some believe like that. It's my world. I'm not talking about ethics. My world, my truth. It's your truth. Do you find a very big problem here? According to relativism, there cannot be an ultimate truth, right? Truth is relative to everyone. But relativism says there cannot be an ultimate truth. And that statement itself is ultimate statement. And relativism is self-defeating. It says there cannot be an ultimate truth. Truth is relative to everyone. And it says there cannot be an ultimate truth. And that statement is ultimate, right? So it's self-defeating. Right? So ethically, relativism. Ethically. My ethics, your ethics. My ethics, your ethics differs. Buddhism talks about the ultimate ethical conduct. Following that ethical conduct can lead to a better society. Yes. Can lead to a better society. So following that ethical conduct, Buddhism has steered the society to a better place. But that's not the end goal. Ethics of Buddhism is to accumulate good karma, good deeds, to have a proper rebirth in a good, better place, to attain the ultimate happiness of nirvana. All these are found in Buddhist ethics. So no, it's not just for the sake of the society. So in order to understand Buddhist ethics, you have to understand the Buddhist philosophy. You have to understand the suffering, you have to understand the samsara, you have to understand the rebirth, you have to understand the idea of nirvana. Only then ethics of Buddhism is valid. Otherwise, Buddhism is not just a code of conduct to control the society as the other religions have done. That would be my answer. But if you want to go further, you have to open other few doors that are going to be really mind-blowing. Yeah, just leave it there.
Thank you very much, Bhante. I'm aware of the time, and it's 3:14, so I believe that you have to have another travels to
New Zealand.
New Zealand, yes.
Yes.
I think we will wrap it up there. And
Can we give the last question?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, we didn't see you
Raise
there.
the hand.
Did
Yeah.
you?
Right.
Sorry, so I'll start again. So speaking from experience, when I lost someone, I felt sadness, anger, and guilt. And I've spoken to a lot of monks where when I told them how I felt, they always say that you should try and avoid those feelings because that could affect their afterlife or where they are now. So in your personal opinion, what do you think? Do you think the emotions that people feel through grief as of now, would that affect where the loved one is now?
No, it doesn't affect them. It doesn't affect them at all. It's not going to increase their happiness, or it's not going to decrease their death. So Buddha never recommended that, grief. It's not going to decrease or increase anything. It's just going to harm yourself. That's all. They're not going to accumulate any bad karma because of our grief. No. According to Buddhism, if I do a good merit and if he rejoices on it, yes, that will increase his happiness. If he rejoices on a bad act that I have done, I've sacrificed something and says, please rejoice on that, he is accumulating a bad karma. But grief is something different. If he really loves you, maybe he'll be sad for your grief, or sometimes he may be happy. Okay, at least she's grieving for me. Right? But anyway, it's not going to change the course of life. That's why Buddha said, Nahi runnang va soko va ya chanya paridevana natang nyati na matthaya evan titthanti nyatayo. Nahi runnang, crying, soka, soko, sorrow, paridevana, lamentation. Nahi runnang va soko va ya chanya paridevana natang nyati na matthaya, that is not for the benefit of the dead relatives. Evan tittanti nyatayo, they will stay as they are. It's not going to affect positively or negatively. So what matters here is how do we recover? They have already attained a life. If they are in a suffering state, nyati dhamma, we have to do merits and share it with them. So then they can have something. So now when you see this very objectively, what we are supposed to do is to do merits and share with them if we are not sure that they are born. If they are born in a human realm, even the merits that we do will not be out of benefit for them. Then someone asked the question, what happens to that merit? If they are in a different realm in which they cannot rejoice our merit, someone else will rejoice on it. Then he asked the question, if there is no one else who is going to rejoice on your merits, then Buddha said, it's impossible, Brahmin. While you are traveling in samsara, always there is some being who is waiting to enjoy on your merits. Even relatives from the past lives, friends from the past life, even friends can rejoice on your merits. So therefore, so what I would say is, if the grief is very difficult, do not suppress it. My advice is do not suppress it. You can have a wise contemplation. Sometimes the sorrow is too strong. The suppression cannot be done. So what as a monk, what I recommend is, go for Dhamma. Learn the Dhamma. Discuss the Dhamma. The mind will drag you down. That's the nature. It can happen to us even. Time will heal many things because it's a natural nature of human psychology that we are in a neutral state most of the time. High intense emotions, negative or positive, cannot last for very, very long time, right? We're in a very natural state most of the time. So it will automatically come to that state. Give yourself time. So if you contemplate Dhamma and do good things, that transformation will be quicker. So don't force it. So if someone is crying due to a deceased one, personally, I would not stop the person. Let the person cry. But then I will still give him that advice, because next time he or she will be able to control the emotions. I hope you understood my answer. Okay. Yes. Okay. Infinity means before or forward? If you don't stop its arising in the next birth, yes, it can go. If you stop arising in a new life, that's nirvana. You can prevent it from birth. No consciousness at all. That's the end of the suffering, because consciousness in the ultimate sense is a suffering. So with nirvana, then you can ask the question, when you attain nirvana, consciousness will not be born again, because consciousness is not one element. Arise, pass, it's happening in a lineage, right? So what happens is, before new birth happens, new consciousness arises, we stop it by eradicating craving and all this. So it's consciousness, you can say it stopped, but what we have done is, we have stopped, like switching off the machine. We have stopped the new arising of a consciousness, not the same consciousness that but terminated. New arising of a new consciousness was stopped, and that's the end of the story. Then you can ask the question, what happens to me? Come on, Bhante, we are going to experience? Nothing. If you ask this question from Buddha, he would say, the question is wrong. In order for you to terminate in Nibbana, first show me that you are existing in the first place. Right? It's just consciousness and matter, and consciousness and matter is not a self. It's a very hot topic. We don't have time to talk about that. Right? So consciousness and matter is not a self. It's suffering. It's impermanent. So in the technicality, you will have questions, I know. We'll think about another time for that. What is happening technically? When Nama Rupa is suffering, Nama Rupa is impermanent, Nama Rupa is non-self. If you are preventing the arising of such Nama Rupa, you are preventing the arising of a bunch of suffering, not a self. Non-arising of suffering equals to the bliss. So Nibbana is considered the highest form of bliss.
I think that's a beautiful way to conclude today's discussion. I'm really sorry we couldn't, I'm sure many of you still have, burning questions. Really sorry we do have a time constraint, but we will be conducting more programs like this. I'll pass it on to Diman to conclude the session.
As we bring our enriching dialogue to an end, we extend our deepest gratitude to Venerable Bhante for graciously sharing his profound wisdom and insights with us today. Through his teachings, we have been reminded of the enduring relevance of the Dhamma in navigating the complexities of modern life.
May the Dhamma continue to guide us towards finding true and lasting peace, happiness, and liberation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Concluded? Okay. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Okay. Wish you all the best and wish you all success in your life, and I also invite you to have some investigation about your life, about yourself. Buddhism is a very nice doctrine that you study it, you will really enjoy it. And also keep it in mind, it's talking about a non-material element. That's the realm. So please, I invite you to come and study this first, and you will have many benefits out of it. And you will have a lot of beliefs, and you will, at some extent, you will get convinced about the karma. There are ways that you can get convinced about the karma, but that will be subjective. Even the ones who have got convinced about karma will not be able to prove it in a diagram or in a thing. So I invite you. So this is a very nice, interesting thing. So rituals are just gateways to enter into this. The philosophy is awaiting you. And when this philosophy is present in this world, don't miss that opportunity. In Burma, I've seen many young girls, women, men, doctors, engineers, they do, in their leisure time, they do come and study Buddhism. They do courses in Buddhism, like we do MAs and BAs. Because what their argument is, when this philosophy is present in the world, it's pity that if we don't study this and live our lives without such knowledge. So please try to study that deeply. Yes. Yeah, there are a lot of books. Just search in internet, you'll find. You can start with what the Buddha taught, and you can go into books by Bhikkhu Bodhi. If you're interested in philosophical stuff, go into Abhidhamma side, Abhidhamma in daily life. Yes, there are a lot of books.
I'll just add to your question, with books, we actually have what the Buddha taught.
Okay.
We have Bhikkhu Bodhi's full translation of the Nikayas and the suttas, all in English, along with Piyadasi Thera, Nyanaponika, a lot of the very well-renowned authors. So many of you can go upstairs and, help yourselves.
Okay then, wish you all the best. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.